What I do know about Super Heaven is that you have changed your name.
That is correct.
How long were you Daylight, and how long ago did you change your name to Super Heaven?
We were Daylight from about 2008 to, I guess, 2014. We've been going under Super Heaven for a little over a year now, and we had to change it because it was a legal situation. We didn't just decide to change our name for fun, because I promise you there was nothing fun about it. But basically there was another band called Daylight, and they owned the rights to the name internationally, so we really couldn't continue operating under a name that someone else owned, because eventually it would catch up with us and we'd have to go through everything that we had to go through. So we figured, we'll just change it now so we don't keep putting out records on our name that we know that we can't keep. And, we're not going to keep putting T-shirts with a name that we know that we can't keep. So we just changed it, and it was pretty inconvenient, to be honest. Coming up with a name is never fun. And on top of that, changing all of our social networks and stuff like that was way more involved than I expected it to be. A lot of stuff you have to have them approved by someone before you can change the name, and it was a whole thing. And, a lot of people kind of had a lot of negative opinions on us changing the name and stuff like that. So overall, it was a pretty frustrating experience, but that was about a year ago now.
Right. So unfortunately took a bit of time out of the creative processes of the band, I guess, that you had to stop and do all that.
Not really. I mean, luckily we were lucky enough to have, people that were able to help us with doing the whole thing, because I don't know anything about computers, so I would have completely been at a loss. But we were fortunate enough to have people help us, get through the whole thing and figure everything out. So, I don't think we really missed too much of a beat with, writing music and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, can I ask then, they say that there is a lot to a name and everything that goes with it, the energy. Has changing your name changed the band internally at all? Do you guys feel differently in any way?
No, not at all. And I'm surprised that people think a name matters, because a band name has never mattered to me. When I found out we had to change it, I knew that it would be sort of annoying, but I didn't think people would care as much as they did. But, if one of my favorite bands changed their name, I wouldn't care. If they were the same band, then it wouldn't matter to me. We still play the same songs and we still are the same individuals, so we're still the same band.
Yeah, and you do have a new album out at the moment. Ours is Chrome, which is, I guess, it's the debut album from Super Heaven, although it's not the debut album from your band.
No, actually, we reissued our first album under the new name, so it's technically our second LP.
Oh, yeah. And so then, with writing the second album, how has the music grown? How is it different from the first album?
I think the songs are probably a little more thought out and a little more formulaic, and, they flow a little more traditionally, as a traditional pop structure, I guess you would call it. But I think they're probably just better written songs. At least I would consider them to be.
Right. And what do you write about? Do you write about personal issues? Do you write about world issues? Because there's always more to a song than what's on the surface.
Yeah, I mean, mostly personal, mostly very specific personal things. And I can only speak for myself, because I'm not the only person in the band who writes lyrics, but I'd say I write the majority of them. And a lot of my songs are mostly about my family kind of has a few internal issues and stuff like that. For instance, there's a song on the record called Room, and that's about my family was evicted from our home this past September, but I was on tour in Europe while this was going on. So it was very stressful, very overwhelming, because, that'd be frustrating if I was present for it, but I was in another country and I couldn't use the phone or anything like that. So I was limited to emails, and those are pretty sparse, and I didn't really know what was going on. So I felt very helpless and stuff like that. So that's just an example of, what one of the songs is about.
Right. Well, I really seriously hope the next 12 months are a hell of a lot better for you on a personal level. I know they will be on a band level with the new album out. You told us about, unfortunately, some of the bad things. What's your favourite memory from being in a band? What's something that you're so glad that you're in a band just for that moment?
I think a lot of things. I mean, I think we're very fortunate to be able to travel and go places that, not everyone gets to go. I think going to Australia and going to Japan are definitely highlights of not only being in a band, but personal achievements. Before being in band and stuff like that, I never thought I would be able to get to Japan or Australia. So that's definitely something that I think about fondly.
What are you most looking forward to over the next 12 months? Because you do have your American tour. Are you going back to Europe or the UK or...?
We don't really have too many plans as of now. We have this U.S. tour, and then we're playing a fest in Atlanta with a lot of really cool bands in August. But other than that, we don't have nothing solid yet. But I just hope that we tour a good amount this year and hopefully start writing another record.
Yeah, we'll put the word out, Australia. We want to see Superheaven in Australia in the next 12 months. That would be really cool.
That'd be great.
I've Been Bored is the first single. Do you actually have a video for that at the moment?
Yes.
You do. And the album came out in Australia on May 13th and it is available right now. And people can find out more about you at facebook.com/superheavenband. And you do have links in that there for buying the album and your merchandise, but you don't actually have your own website, do you?
No, we did. And then because of the name change, things kind of got a little mixed up with that. So, eventually we'll have a central website for everything, but we kind of working on other stuff. So
yeah, Facebook seems to be becoming the central hub for things at the moment.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, but if people do go to coldcutsmerch.com, they can find Superheaven gear on there, all the merchandise and albums, or Superheaven Band on Facebook.
Sure.
I'm really sorry that you're not actually heading down here right at the moment, but we'll definitely have to keep an eye out for when that is going to happen. And the album Ours is Chrome is available right now. And thank you very much for your time. And yeah, maybe we'll talk again one day.
Great. Thank you very much. Bye.
See ya.